Hi, I'm Karen Kosek from Creative Junk Therapy. Today we're going to be making a stamp out of foam. I'll give you the supply list and walk you through step by step, and good luck making your own. Here's our supplies. We have some paper, um, foam from an extra project that we had done before, and the foam plates. Scissors to be able to cut the foam plate, and then a variety of different paintbrushes. Most of these we're going to use the ends of the paintbrushes to be able to push into the foam product, and then we'll use the other ends, of course, to paint with. And I just grabbed a variety of paints. You can use anything that you'd like. These are just what I chose because I thought they were nice and bright and fun. So we'll get started in just a second. Okay, for the first project, we're going to make just a puppy dog paw. Nothing extraordinary with this. We're using the end of the paintbrush just to make a cavity or a channel in the foam product. It doesn't have to be perfect because imperfection is our specialty here at Creative Junk Therapy. I'm going to go ahead and make the basic shape. So I'm making just the pad of the puppy dog paw. Then I'm going to use, same thing, the end of the paintbrush, and you can see not very deep, it's just enough so that it creates a cavern. Then I'm going to make the little thumb. I guess, I don't know, dogs don't have thumbs, but whatever that little appendage is on the end. Then we'll make a few more. Again, they don't have to be extraordinary or deep. I believe that it's better when they're a little bit lopsided because it makes them more believable, or at least a little bit more in the nature of what the world is, imperfect. I don't know, I think I made an extra one, but that's okay. So we have some indentions, so you have a basic idea. Oh, whoops, I went through the plastic. That's okay, it'll still work. Basic idea of a puppy dog paw. Okay, so now we're going to paint it. I have an old paint container that I had a few minutes ago. We're going to go ahead and put some paint on that. We've got blue, and we reuse everything as much as possible. We don't need a lot of paint for this. There's not a lot we're going to have to paint, so it goes in very thin. The more you put on, the more you lose the lines. Everywhere where you have those lines that you made is going to remain white, or that's the goal at least. My orange is a little bit thick, a little bit of red. Like I said, you can do more colors than this, you can do less. Our basic color tones is red, yellow, blue, and I had an orange, so I put that in. Our red, yellow, and orange, for those, the quick little lesson plan, that's our primary color. So those are the ones, or actually red, yellow, and blue are primary colors. But the red, yellow, and orange are warm colors. So you don't necessarily want them to play with the blue because they're going to create something that's a little bit muddy and a little bit more brown. So the red, yellow, and orange tend to stay together better as warm colors, and they don't blend as much. Of course, if you put the blue and the yellow together, you'll get a different version of a green. But the orange, if you play with these, they're going to end up in a brown. So if you're looking for some kind of a brown color, then that's perfect. Otherwise, then you're just going to want to keep them separate. Okay, so I'm going to use, since this is a little paw, I'm going to use a smaller paintbrush. And I have a piece of paper here. Get that out of the way. There's our little paintbrush. There's nothing extraordinary about this. I'm going to just make this a nice little rainbow color. I'm going to start in the blue. And we'll just start on this side. Again, you don't need it to be very thick. You can fill in the cavities. It won't make any difference. The only part that's actually going to show is the flat part of your foam. So you don't have to worry about the little insets. Okay, I'm going to rinse. I have some water over here. Rinse that. Okay, and then I'm going to go with the yellow because, again, if they blend, it's no big deal. It'll make an interesting green, which is okay. And again, don't need it really thick. I'm going to do it kind of quickly because I don't want my paint to dry. The idea is that it stays wet, and the foam does a good job of keeping that on the surface without it blending. I'm going to go ahead and use the orange now because the orange with the yellow will blend. If it's too green, it is going to make that weird funky brown, so just know if you mixed a little bit too much of the blue in there and you've got a funky green color, you might end up with a bad brown color. But that one's not too bad. And then we'll finish it off with a little bit of red. Again, my little my dog thumb, which is not an actual thing, the last pad over there ended up getting a little complicated. But you won't see it because when you do the stamp, it all goes away. Okay, so here's the last part of this. You finally take it and you're going to put it on the paper, push it down firmly. Most of it will go on. You just want to make sure all of the areas touch. And then you're going to want to lift it up, and voila, you have a little dog pad. Now sometimes if you put enough paint, you can do a second punch and you'll get a second image, or it might be more vague, and sometimes that looks cooler. And that was a little too light, but that gives you the idea. So there's our dog paw, and next we'll go ahead and do one with the plate. Okay, so for this next stamp, we're going to actually use a plate. So when we do it, we're actually going to use the back side of the plate, but because it's raised, if I try and push into this, it'll end up breaking through, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to cut through this with my little baby scissors. And just for the record, while I'm cutting here, I love my little baby scissors. They do a fabulous job. These were given to us by a friend, and we have a bucket of them. I believe she used them for scouts. But they work fantastic. They're very sharp, and I haven't cut myself once, and they're always consistent. So, like the little scissors. Okay. Alright, so now we have a nice little flat surface to work with. And I'm going to be carving into this. We'll put our paint off to the side for a second. I'm going to go ahead and use the smaller paintbrush. I'm going to use the end of this so I can get something that's a little bit more detailed. It'll give me some finer lines. For this one, I think I'm going to do a tree. And again, remember that anywhere that you push in is going to stay white, or at least have the impression that it has a texture to it. So let's do... I'm just going to kind of wing a tree here. And again, I'm just pushing into the foam so it creates a little bit of a cavern. And then I'm going to go down in different spots just to give some wiggle room. Okay, and then for variation, I can take my scissors, and I don't want to open them up because, again, I don't want to gouge into this, but I'm going to just take them and make some smaller lines in them. So then I'll get some different variations, so it makes it look like the wood has dimension to it. Okay, so that's good for the base. Let you see what I did. Nothing extraordinary, just a little base. All right, for the top of the tree, I'm just going to make a billowy kind of overlapping tree, so it feels like it's been hanging. And again, a variety of different textures. So they feel like it's a tree hanging over that's nice and full. And, you know, maybe there's some things in there. And there's no rules to this. If you find something that has like a cool texture that you think would make a neat pattern, please go for it. I have this little pen here, so I can take that and make little dots in my paper. And that makes a really cool design on it too. Give you an idea what I'm doing. See, so you get little variations in the thing. Those could be apples. They could be berries. They could be snow. I don't know. Whatever you want it to be. This could be for fall. This could be whatever you think would be cool. I encourage you to do it. And I really do hope that people try and respond back and show me variations of things that they've made. I love to see your work. Okay, so we have our base now. I kind of see where the back of this is going to end up being like a sky, and this is going to be a tree in a background, like in a forest scene. So we have our paper. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and paint this. Again, there's no rules to this. I am going to use the larger paintbrush because I have a larger surface to color. You don't have to. There's no rules to this. So I'm going to go ahead and use the blue so that I have this nice... Okay, so oh, I'm going to go ahead and get a layer of the blue on. Start with that. A little bit on each side. So this will be our sky. I'm painting down the sides of it. And again, just a thin layer. It doesn't have to be extraordinary. The more you put on, the thicker it'll be. And if you want just kind of that sparse look. And the plate's going to be different from our foam because it has a different texture. So you'll end up getting a more drastic look. For the tree branch itself, I'm going to do that drastic. I'm going to double dip it. I'm going into my orange, which with the blue and the orange is going to make a little bit of a brownish shade like we talked about earlier. So I'm going to double dip. I'm a very big fan of double dipping. Not at parties necessarily, but I do like having variations of color, so you'll have a little bit of both. Grab a little bit of yellow in that too. And I want it to kind of make its own range. So see, you get something a little bit more dramatic when you have something a little different in there. Oh. So, okay. Now for the top, we're going to do this, and we're going to make a green. So a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the yellow. The more yellow you make it, the more vibrant it's going to be. Again, there's that double dipping again. So if you use a variation, then you're going to get multiple layers of color on this. I'm trying to do it kind of quick because I don't want my paint to dry. And you got to get your fingers in it, so don't be shy. Get in there and try and get your fingers dirty. Okay, so we have a good base for the tree. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take it, flip it over, just like we did the other one. I'm going to press on that firmly so that we get all this edges adhered, and go ahead and peel it up. Okay, so then there's our little tree. So now if I wanted to make a second one of this, I could go ahead, let's do it on the other side, and let's make a different version. So if I took the same one, the same picture, and I'm going to let's make the background a little bit more purple. Okay, so I'm going to grab a little bit of the red with the blue. It's going to make a kind of a plummy purple type of a color. Again, no rules. There's, oh, that's very red. Want more blue in there. There we go. That's a little better. And there's yellow on the back of my paintbrush, but that's okay. As long as it's not on the side I'm painting with, it's fine. They can play nice together. If I flipped it over, it'd get funky. Okay, then for our tree trunk, okay, I'm going to go with the purple on my brush. I'm going to grab some orange. Okay, and that's going to give it a whole different shade. Sorry, I'm painting off camera. So I'm just going to pull that on, and that's going to give a different shade. And then I'm going to, again, go into my green, make a little bit of a green color. And I still have a little bit of that orange in my brush, so let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to get a richer tone to that. So it's going to be a little bit different. If I pull in a little bit more blue, then it's going to make it a blue-green shade. So there's, again, play with it. Find some cool things. You want it to be unique. And you can always change these. You can use it. You can make your name out of it. Just keep in mind, if you're trying to do your name, it's mirrored backwards. So that would be challenging. Okay, let's see what this one looks like. Put it on the paper. Smush, smush, smush. Get that out of the way. And voila! Same tree, different version, different colors, different shades. You see all the little nooks and crannies that we carved into it. So that turned out pretty good. I'm happy with my little stamps. I hope you enjoyed our stamp video. I will continue to report these periodically, so stay tuned. Tell me what you like and what you'd like to see, and we will do projects just for you. Thank you very much. Thank you for supporting Creative Junk Therapy.